This is the jihad movement of Shah Usman bin Fodio. Shah Usman bin Fodio was born in Maratha. Maratha was then under Govri kingdom, because then we are of kingdoms and empires. There is no artificial boundaries. Because we start experiencing artificial boundaries with the advent of Europeans. His father migrated from Maratha to Degel here in Godawa local government. They were in Degel. Shah Usman bin Fodio used to travel to Agadas in search of knowledge from one of his famous scholars called Jibril bin Umar and come back to his hometown at Degel. He used to travel to Chimola, Mornuna, Al-Qala for Islamic tour. Then the chief of Gobir realized that if they allow Shah Usman bin Fodio to continue preaching, one day they were going to lose their power. Therefore, they asked him to leave their land. He migrated from Degel to Gudu. Gudu is a border between Kebi Kingdom and the Gobri Kingdom. He was there. People are still coming to him in search of knowledge. They also realized that what they were afraid of, it is still happening. Therefore, they decided to wage a war against him. They invited so many people from different tribes, including Fulani, his tribes. With the intention of eliminating him, they met him at Tepkin Koto here in Guduvalle local government. Despite their large number and their weapons, he happens to be victorious against them. That is the beginning of Sokoto Caliphate. That is why I told you earlier, nobody sat down and designed the existence of the Caliphate. They came to emerge coincidence. So after he defeated the forces of Gobir, he continued with his Islamic tour to Faru, Tsuntsuwa, Wurno, Kirari, Magafchi, Yabo, Baraya, Zaki, Gwandu, Alwasa, Elo. Later, he settled at Sipawa here in Bodenga local government, where he writes most of his books, because he writes about 270-something books, him alone. Then later, and finally, when his son Muhammad Bello built a house, an Islamia school for him here in Sokoto, he asked him to leave Sipawa to Sokoto. He came to Sokoto 1815, he died 1817, 2 years later. Then he was buried inside his house, that is Hubari. Upon all this struggle, Shah Usman bin Fodio died at 63 years old. Ilo. No, not really Kwara. You know, Kwara is river. You know, it started from Kebbi up to the Kwara state. Kogin, yes, Kogin Kwara. It was called Kogin Kwara, yes. The name is from the river Kwara, Kogin Kwara. And this is the first chair in the Sultan Palace. This chair was sent to Sultan Hassan Damazu in 1930 by King George of England. But when they brought this chair, it has a human figure, a human statue entitled with chain at the center of the chair. Therefore, no way a sultan will be sitting on the chair wearing an idol, because in Islam we are seeing it as an idol. And they can't return the gift back since it is from the colonial masters. Therefore, they sit down and decide, they reach a conclusion that they have to cut the head before the sultan continue using the chair. And apart from that, a human being entitled with chain, it symbolizes slavery. So that is why they cut the head before the sultan continue using the chair. This is war booties. You know, in those days, if you fought away and you fell, if you ran away and left your belongings, the opponent will come along with it as an evidence of total defeat. This belongs to Chief of Gobirs. They were using this during the war to give courage to their warriors to go out and fight. This is Chief Staff of Office by Chief Yumpa, the Chief of Gobir. This is announcement drum, because then there is no telephone, no radio, no television. Whenever there is an official announcement, the announcer will come out with the drum, then he will beat the drum. Everybody will listen to him. For example, during Ramadan, if the moon of Ramadan has been sighted, the announcer will come out, then he will beat the drum. He will say, the Sultan said, I should greet you all. After the greeting, he said, I should tell you, the moon of Ramadan has been sighted, therefore tomorrow will be the first day of Ramadan. Likewise, yes, we call it tambari in Hausa. Likewise, if the Sultan is going out for an official assignment, they will beat the drum. Just as what we are seeing today, if the governors is going out, they will go with sarin. If they are coming in, they will come with sarin. So they have the system even before the encroachment of Europeans. As I have told you earlier, Shah Usman bin Fodio allocated a flag to his followers. This is the original flag. We use a pieces of cloth and wrap it and preserve it for historical documentation. This flag you are seeing today is 221 years. Because 1804 to date is 221 years. Yes. Look at it. This is how it looks. It's a woven cloth. And this is the caption on the flag. Amir Mu'min, that is the commander of the faith. And these are the sophisticated weapons they used during the jihad, because then there is no guns. They were fighting on horses or on barefooted. They were using bows and arrows, spear and what have you. Because it is physical confrontation. They were fighting on horses or on barefooted. This is what they were using. What they have used. And this is, they were poisonous. These weapons, they were poisonous. The moment they touch you, you must go. You must die. This is some of the charm gowns used by warriors during the war. They were using a paper bearing a Quranic verses. They will fold it and bound it with cotton thread. Then they will sew it within the 2 layers of the cloth as a spiritual protection. We call it Rigal Layu in Hausa. This is the helmet and this is the belt they used during the war. This is channel gown. We call it sulke in Hausa. This serves as a bulletproof because during the war, the warrior will wear it. If he were shoot with sharp arrow, it will not penetrate and damage his body. This is some of the appointment letters sent to Sultan Hassan Dan Mu'azu by King George of England. This is Sultan Hassan Dan Mu'azu. This is Queen Elizabeth. This is Emir of Gondu on their visit to England in 1937. The activities of Shehu Usman bin Fodio and his colleagues is teaching and preaching of Islamic perspectives. This is books they write with their hand. And it is original one, not photocopy. More than 200 years ago. And they write in different sectors, including health, politics, religion, and so on. Because even Muhammad Bello, a son of Shehu Usman bin Fodio, write a book on liver problem and the solution, kidney problem and the solution. In fact, even this century, Abdullah Dan Fodio, a junior brother to Shehu Usman bin Fodio, write a book on called Ta'alim Radi, meaning land tenure system. Because in his book, he had mentioned that it's only government that are in position to allocate a land to masses. And if the government give the land, if the masses burn the place and surround it with stones, if the government need the land, it has to pay him before it collect the land. That is compensation. And that is the same policy we are adopting today in Nigeria. And this is the British caliphate encounter. When the British came, they came with mugs and guns, where our forefathers, they were on horses using bows and arrows, spear and what have you. Therefore, no way somebody with bows and arrows can compete with somebody with guns. That is why they were able to defeat our forefathers. This is Emir of Kanu, Aliu Mesango. After Kanu was defeated by the British forces in 1902, they captured him and come along with him. This is Lugat, Frederick Lugat. And this is massive killing in Burmi. After they followed Sultan Atahiru I, they killed so many people there. After the battle, then the remaining people decided to continue with their journey until they settled at present-day Sudan. They were now in Sudan with their town called Meirno. These are some of the remains of the firearms used by the British forces in 1903. This is the level of the technology of Europeans then. This is their AK-47. This is what they have used that they were able to defeat our forefathers. The battle was named Gigenya Battle. That is because the battlefield was full of palm tree. That is what we call Gigenya in Hausa. So that is why in Sokoto we have Gigenya Barak, Gigenya Hotel, Gigenya Secretariat, Gigenya Memorial Stadium, Gigenya Secondary School, just to remember the battle.